Crestwood Secondary Campus, it is my honor to welcome you to our distinguished alumni program. Today we will honor two individuals who launched extraordinary lives and careers which were started by their experiences here at Crestwood. To Major General Hill and Mr. Humcara, I offer a special welcome and my congratulations. Your accomplishments have earned your membership into a special group of honorees. You make our entire school community very proud. I would also like to welcome your family and friends. I know that they have contributed much to your success and share in this special moment with you. Crestwood School District also shares in this moment with you. A school's reputation is built largely through the accomplishments of its alumni. Although we take pride in your successes, we cannot take full credit for them. We do all we can to encourage mastery of subject matter, inform character, offer opportunities for intellectual growth, and foster civic and professional engagement. In the end, though, graduates decide to succeed. They decide to apply what they learned here, set ambitious goals, work long hours, and take the risks that define leadership. These two individuals before us today have demonstrated all of these characteristics as reflected in their accomplishments. Many graduates of the Crestwood School District have unique and successful stories. Today we will hear the stories of two of our most accomplished alumni. At this time, I ask that Mr. Darren Testa comes to the podium to introduce our first distinguished alumni.
First, I'd like to congratulate these two outstanding individuals. It was made aware to me right before this came about, as Mr. Benz told me, that, guys, to put this into context, there's over 20,000 Crestwood alumni that could have been nominated for this award. So the three last year, and then these two individuals today, puts them in rare company, and they certainly deserve it. It is my honor today to introduce Major General David Hill. I was lucky enough to be a teammate of Major General Hill in the 1985-86 wrestling team, and have been friends with his family and in-laws for over 40 years. He is a remarkable individual, and his career in the U.S. Army has been nothing short of extraordinary. I will get to those accomplishments in a minute, but I wanted to share some feelings on the time I spent with Major Hill back in the wonderful 1980s. My freshman year at Crestwood, I was brought up to the varsity wrestling team and was able to garner a starting position at the lightweight of 119 pounds. The next wrestler up was Major General Hill at 126 pounds. He was a pretty experienced senior. He was a leader. He definitely stood out among a very colorful group of seniors that particular year. My dad was the coach. Those particular seniors caused a lot of, I would say, pain among the team at that particular time, but Major General Hill certainly stood out as the leader as far as pushing us forward with that year. He was my practice partner many days. We both experienced success as the season progressed. But at the end of the season, as the end of the season approached, teammates, as wrestling usually happens, teammates start to drop down in weight. Major General Hill decided that he was going to come down to 119 pounds and beat me out of the lineup. And so I was delegated to JV, where I was forced to drop to the next weight class down. Little side note. Freshman year, you're going through a growth spurt. All of a sudden, I start growing, I'm getting taller and bigger, and I have to drop down to the weight class below, which wrestling used to force you to do in those particular cases. So I believe that if Major General Hill didn't beat me out of the lineup, that I would have wrestled 119. I'd probably be 6'1". I would have hair. There's no doubt about it that it caused my growing age. I would not be bald at this particular point in time. So I give that aspect of my life to Major General Hill. But to getting back to normal things here. But in all honesty, we were talking last night at the dinner about overcoming adversity. As a freshman losing your starting spot, I thought that was the end of the world, what was going to happen to me. Well, it works out. I dropped the weight, I have a successful postseason, but that wasn't the best of all of that. That wasn't what Major General Hill taught me. It wasn't about overcoming adversity to get down to the lower weight class. It was his leadership on a daily basis. It was the way he conducted himself in practice. It was the way that he led other individuals by example. He was a quiet individual in the room compared to the other individuals, but he led by example, and it is something that I think you could look at the basis of his career and certainly shaped mine. He became the first Crestwood student to earn admission and attend the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry. He went on to earn master's degrees in engineering management and national security strategy. He currently commands the United States Army War College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. He's responsible for educating and developing leaders for service at the strategic level. Major General Hill's awards and decorations are an extraordinary example of his dedication and leadership. They include 3 Distinguished Service Medals, 3 Legion Merit Medals, 3 Bronze Star Medals, 5 Meritorious Service Medals, the Joint Service Combination Medal, 4 Army Combination Medals, 6 Army Achievement Medals, and many other badges. To say it simply, he's a highly decorated soldier. His operational assignments included Operation Desert Storm, Operation Joint Endeavor, Operation Iraqi Freedom. At last night's dinner, Mr. Barry Boone, a retired math teacher and part of the school board, used math to explain the rarity of an individual like Major General Hill. So thanks to Mr. Boone, I am going to steal his work. There are over 330 million people in the United States, and as of 2020, there were 299 two-star Major Generals. So your chances of meeting someone with the credentials, qualifications of Major Hill are less than 1 in a million. You guys should take advantage of that. If you can speak to him later on, it's a 1 in a million chance. Okay. It is my honor to introduce the 1 in a million alumni, Major General David Hill.
Well, good morning. It's great to see you all, and I want to start, Darren, by thanking you for what I would say is a very generous introduction, and this idea, perhaps I think he gives me too much credit for my wrestling skills and the time that we were partnered together in the wrestling room here in this building, and I can't believe how much time has passed since those dates. But what I actually think, and it'll maybe tie to some of the ideas I'll share with you, is he dropped to 119, I dropped to 126, or however it worked out because someone else above me, it was about a team. It wasn't about where I thought I could personally win a championship or earn an accolade. It was how could we all give way together to do the best for Crestwood High School at the time. And so I think that's exactly why we dropped, Darren. And I think you probably could have stayed right where you were and done very, very well. I think the last time I was in this auditorium was for a wildly entertaining lip sync contest during my senior year at Crestwood. Sorry to disappoint all of you here in the room, but you won't be getting any lip syncing from me today. Unless you want to sing the Army song with me, I'm always happy to close remarks with doing that. To the students here today, it's really wonderful to see you. I've got a number of important meetings and engagements between now and Thanksgiving with Army and Defense leaders next week in Washington, D.C., with business, media, and diplomatic leaders the week after in New York, visits to some of our best universities in Boston the week after that, and then work with partner nations in Bangkok right after Veterans Day. And I tell you that not to try and sound important, to sound personally important, but really to reinforce how truly special I think you are. And without any question in my mind, this is the most important engagement of all of those meetings that I'll have in the weeks ahead. Those meetings will bring value to my work today in leading the United States Army War College in the near term, but you're our future. You're the human capital that will keep this mountaintop community, this state of Pennsylvania, our country, strong in the years ahead. I want to also start by thanking the Crestwood School Board for the vision to establish this Distinguished Alumni Award. You heard a bit about it in the introductions, and I understand that through this award, the school board and the committee seek to recognize graduates for excellence in their careers, but more importantly, in my estimation, for having high moral standards, serving as role models, and demonstrating that goals are achieved through persistence, dedication, and knowledge. And that is a vision that I admire and embrace. It aligns very closely with expectations of Army leaders today, and what I have felt was expected of me since the first day that I put on this uniform. In the Army, we talk about 4 C's, essential for success as a leader or a member of a team: character, competence, commitment, and caring. For me, the students here, each of you, if you're interested in my advice of how to best prepare for your futures and to achieve your dreams, I could probably pick this mic up, drop it, leaving you with the vision that your school board already cast to champion high moral standards, persistence, dedication, and the pursuit of knowledge. So I'd also like to thank the selection committee members who've worked hard at work very much worth doing in pursuit of this vision. I feel really, really honored to be that you considered my professional life, my personal character, and decided to include me alongside Mr. Humcara and the remarkable group of distinguished alumni recognized in last year's inaugural class: Lieutenant Colonel James Harvey, Louis Fouché, and Marcy Turney. In my life as a soldier, I found promotions in rank and responsibility to be really humbling. Humbling because I recognize that along the way in my professional life, while I've been blessed with amazing opportunities for continued service and growth as a leader, there have always been others every bit as capable with just as much potential or more that could have been chosen to serve in my place and excelled. And I feel the same way about this award. And I know the committee members were presented with a tremendous challenge in selecting those to honor last year and today out of a truly inspirational body of alumni. That's a challenge of abundance, and that's a good challenge to have. If I just think about my own graduating class, some that are in this room today, names and faces quickly come to mind of incredibly successful businessmen and women, educators, medical professionals, military service members, community leaders, and more. So again, I thank the committee for affording me this wonderful honor today. And you know, I'm also honored by Madison's artwork here. Are you in the room, Madison? Well, I hope I get to meet you, because I really like what you did, and it shows a great degree of talent, and I'm honored by what you, by your effort to portray Mr. Humcara and I very generously as well. It's exciting for me to stand here for another reason, though, and say with confidence that there is a future distinguished graduate in this room, perhaps many. And I hope that I'm able to cheer you on in 10, 20, or 30 years as you stand on this stage to be similarly recognized. I also want to take a moment to thank your superintendent of schools, Ms. Milazzo, the leadership team of the secondary campus, Principal Gorman, Vice Principal Perantoni, and the entire faculty and staff at Crestwood for your commitment to educating and encouraging these students who I think are fortunate to attend Crestwood High School today. My wife, who's sitting in the front row here, Chris and I, she's in that picture right there with me 36 years ago. We've moved 16 times through our 32-year Army life. 6 of those times with children of our own in elementary or secondary school. And it is no exaggeration to say that a quality school opportunity was the overwhelming factor in where we chose to make our home while we were called to serve around the country and around the world. And I believe that was exactly what was on my mom and dad's mind when they chose Mountaintop to make our home when we moved from Pittsburgh to here in 1981. It was the opportunity for me and my brothers and sisters to learn in this incredible school district. So if you're here this morning as a member of the Crestwood School Board, the Distinguished Alumni Award Committee, school administration, faculty, or staff, please know that I have tremendous respect for the education profession and your choice to serve in it as teachers, volunteers, and elected officials. And I want to emphasize that my respect for you and what you do is growing. First, because I'm now leading an education institution and I realize how difficult it is to plan, resource, and deliver a quality education experience. But second, I recognize the very real challenges we face in the United States Army today to sustain our all-volunteer force that protects our nation in a volatile, complex, and uncertain world. You teachers, educators, administrators, you play such a vital role in preparing these wonderful young people to serve as responsible, engaged citizens in any sector of our society or economy, any part of our government, or any branch of our armed forces. So in the weeks leading up to tonight, I certainly enjoyed the opportunity to personally reflect on my time at Mountaintop and Crestwood and what I wanted to communicate to you today. I didn't need any coaching or encouragement to express my deep, heartfelt appreciation for this incredible honor, and I truly hope you sense that. But I also enjoyed the opportunity to talk to Mr. Benz, a friend and classmate from the class of 1986, to solicit his perspective about what you students might be most interested in hearing from me today, based upon his experience last year. Tom suggested a good place to start would be with how I felt my time at Crestwood prepared me for my future, but also that you'd be interested in how I got to where I am today, the journey, and what advice I might help you to achieve your dreams based on my experience. So in the short time that we have together today, I'll try to give you just a glimpse into my adventure through 32 years of life in the United States Army as a soldier. I hope to leave you thinking about the power of cohesive teams and what it means to be part of a team. And I want to challenge you to strengthen your foundation, to find your calling, to make a habit of looking for opportunity in adversity, and to be humble, kind, and optimistic. So you see a picture here on the screen, like The Hobbit. Our story, my story, Chris and I's story, is how Comet had an adventure and found himself doing and saying things altogether unexpected. The first picture, obviously, is of me and my high school classmate, best friend, and now wife of 32 years on our graduation day, 36 years ago. At that point in our lives, we had no idea what awaited us in the years ahead. And I don't think that I had a dream about a path I hoped to follow or what I hoped to achieve. I did have near-term goals, though, and I think I was dedicated to them and persistent in my effort to achieve them. First, it was to get the best education that I could. And for me, I was open to the idea of military service as a means to that end. That open-mindedness sprung from the example of service represented by my grandfathers, and particularly the one that I got to know well, a retired Master Chief Petty Officer in the Navy. It was contributed to by a well-timed visit by my family to the Naval Academy in Annapolis between my sophomore and junior years here at Crestwood, and a sincere belief that there was value in service. Intrinsic value in service to country, being part of something bigger than self, and yes, adventure, but also very tangible and quantifiable value of an education and the promise of accelerated responsibility in my early professional life, leading to experience held in high regard, I believe, by employers across our country and certainly inside the military. This picture, this second picture, is of me in the May of 2017 in a Black Hawk helicopter over the city of Houston, Texas. And it really speaks, I think, to this idea of doing things altogether unexpected. In this case, I was leading an interagency team of federal, state, and local emergency management officials and first responders through a hurricane preparedness exercise along the Texas coast. That was the culmination for me of 3 years of hard work in that job in my headquarters in Dallas, Texas. And just a month later, the Army directed me to take on new responsibilities. It involved a move and a complete shift in my professional focus to building infrastructure to support the Department of Defense and partner nations across 17 countries in the Middle East and Central Asia. But 2 months later, in August, as we settled into our new home and responsibilities, I watched the team that I had just left, that we had just exercised, respond to Hurricane Harvey that devastated so much of Houston and along the Texas coast. And I watched with this strange mix of feelings. First, a sense of concern for those in harm's way. Second, disappointment that I wasn't there to help. But also a sense of satisfaction that I had been part of something truly important in helping to make those engaged in that response, even though I wasn't with them, ready for all that was asked of them. I share that with you just as one example of my adventure of doing things altogether unexpected, certainly unexpected to me, and when I sat where you are today. If you can advance to the next one. So I mentioned my conversation with Mr. Benz. How did I manage to go from where you sit today to where I stand now? And it is, first and foremost, a story of teams, cohesive teams. And my most important team is my family. They certainly are the team that will be with me long after I take off this uniform. This picture, you can see my wife Chris and I at our home today, and our kids visiting. All of them are grown and successfully on their own now. My three children, my oldest son is an officer in the United States Army and married to a fellow officer there on the right of the picture. My middle daughter is a civilian nurse, married to an Army lieutenant, himself a nurse working in the Army hospital at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And my youngest son, Nick, now a paratrooper himself and serving at Fort Bragg as well. I'm proud of those kids, and I'm proud that an Army life and the effort of my wife enabled them not just to survive that experience, but to thrive through it. We talked about that at breakfast a little bit today, some of the challenges of separation. And I feel like we were well supported throughout our 32 years of service, and I'm proud of the choices they've made. I share this with you because I firmly believe, and we talk about this often in the Army, to be a successful soldier, and I submit to be successful in whatever you choose to do, you have to be balanced, sort of in this triangle, supported by an engaged leader that cares about you, supported by a peer, a buddy, a teammate that cares about you, that will check on you, that only wants the best for you, and a family that does the same, that strengthens and encourages. Chris and I began dating before our senior year at Crestwood, strengthened our relationship through 4 years at different colleges, and were married a week after her college graduation and 2 days after mine. She's been with me every step of this amazing 32 Army life, and I chose those words very deliberately because the Army is not a job, it's a way of life. We often say in the Army that we recruit soldiers, but we retain families. And central to that idea is this sense of community that I think is truly unique, and one that owes so much to Army spouses who strengthen and encourage their soldiers, their friends, and their children. And Chris has done each of those things marvelously, along with teaching elementary school, volunteering with the Red Cross, and now helping coach and mentor other Army spouses. So, if we could make another run at breakfast, and one of you would ask me again, how did I manage to get from Crestwood to where I am today? I would honestly answer that Chris is my partner in life, shares equally in all that I've been able to achieve. Her resilience, confidence, toughness, kindness, and intelligence are the strength of Team Hill. So as to advice on this idea, in the Army, as I suppose is true in most professions, a lot is expected of us. There always seems like there's more work to do than time to get it done. And there's often a factor of urgency and immediacy in what we do as soldiers that limits our ability to attend to family first. But that's not always the case. So for me, my philosophy has been mission first when it has to be, and family first when it can be. Balance is really, really important. So I've had a family team that looks like this. I recognize in this room that each of our family circumstances are unique, and perhaps the takeaway is family in my book are those that support you, encourage you, are there to listen, and perhaps offer advice. That could be your spouse, that could be a life partner, or a close group of lifelong friends. Whatever that sustaining relationship becomes for you, invest in it. This is a different team, a team that I'm just as much proud of. And beyond family, it's been an amazing gift for me through the last 32 years to be part of professional teams operating in many different contexts. In every case, my Army teams have been highly trained, disciplined, fit, ready to fight and win. Culture, and we worked hard every day, and we still do in the organization that I'm part of, to sustain a culture of trust, respect, and discipline where everybody takes care of each other. This is a platoon of soldiers that I operated with in Baghdad in 2008 and 2009, one that I'm incredibly proud of. Perhaps this particular film predates each of you in this room, but how many here perhaps have seen Band of Brothers? I see quite a few hands. Would you say that's a war story? Yeah? You think? Well, a friend shared this observation with me recently, and I believe it. It's not a war story, it is a love story. It's about people willing to endure hardship together, to sacrifice everything for each other if need be. And this was my band of brothers and sisters during a year in Baghdad. They were highly trained, they were disciplined, they were fit, they were a cohesive team. And so for me, service has always carried with it a sense, again, of being something truly important, part of something truly important, bigger than self, being part of a team. After all, the Army fundamentally exists to fight and win our nation's war. But I think this notion of team extends, again, beyond the application in my life as a soldier. So I talked a bit about adventure. My wife and I and our family have lived in 16 homes in 32 years. Those are kind of highlighted by the orange bubbles there. They span from Germany to California and everything in between. I've had the opportunity to visit and work in 31 countries on 5 continents. And there's far too many pictures to include here of those experiences, and I thought I'd share just a few. The top right picture is of my oldest son, Matt, and Megan on a C-5 Galaxy airplane, flying with Chris from Germany to Dover, Delaware, to get picked up by my father-in-law here many years ago, as I was called to serve away, and they were coming home to be strengthened and encouraged by our family here. Pretty cool way to travel. If you're, I guess they were probably 2 and 5 years old at that point. The picture just below it is the Arch of Hadrian. It's a gate in a city called Gerasa, in just north of Amman, Jordan. Actually, Amman, a city that was called Philadelphia from about the 3rd through 7th century. That was an opportunity for me to visit the best preserved Roman ruins in the world outside of Pompeii, as a break from training with our partners there to be ready for what we expected in terms of missions ahead in the Middle East. The picture just below it, that's me standing on the shore of the Indian Ocean, just west of Cape Town, South Africa. I was there at the time learning. I was in a graduate program. We had studied for a semester Sub-Saharan Africa, and I was there to meet with partners and learn how to empathize with their perspectives. Next to it is just below it is Fort Copacabana in Rio de Janeiro. I was there just this past fall to share with our peer institution in the Brazil Department of Defense about how to develop senior leaders. And then in the top left, that's a picture at Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, where I felt really honored to be able to throw out a first pitch on Memorial Day years ago. And what was even more special to me that day was I was afforded that opportunity as a follow-on to being able to honor those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country at the Dallas Veterans Cemetery that very day. So when I look at a map, I don't see faces, I see countries. I don't see countries, I see faces, right? We see relationships, deep relationships that have built through many years. The Army's consistently challenged me with responsibilities that stretch me, that create amazing opportunities for growth, and the work has been amazing. From the moment I joined my first unit in Saudi Arabia on New Year's Day in 1991, as we prepared with a global coalition to liberate the nation of Kuwait, to separating warring factions and keeping the peace in Bosnia-Herzegovina in the late 1990s, training for 2 years in the Mojave Desert. We talked about overcoming physical hardship at breakfast this morning, jumping out of perfectly good airplanes, fighting and building in Iraq, engineering solutions from tactical bridges and combat zones to a medical center of 1 million square feet in El Paso, Texas, deepening ports on our Texas coast, operating and maintaining infrastructure to reduce flood risk, generate hydropower, sustain ecosystems, and move goods on our waterways. Those are the projects and the teams I've been part of, and the scope, variety, and relevance of the work that has kept me serving and are reflected here in this sort of walk around the globe. So I talked about all these places I've been, gave a few examples, just where we sit today in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, in a class of 373 students that average 45 years of age and 20 years of professional experience, pursuing their own continued education as lifelong learners, which is another important lesson. We welcome into that class of 373, 77 officers from 74 countries. And so I just enjoy every day getting to meet and to know them. And so beyond adventure, what I take from that, and I hope you do, is the value of diversity in every dimension. Listening to truly understand different perspectives and the tremendous power that brings to teams. So a few kind of final thoughts for you here. Perhaps as lessons learned along the way. Strengthen your foundation. When I talk about that, I mean physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual. Crestwood and the mountaintop community did that, and they did that for me. And I want to use an analogy for you. At the place I work today, we're building a facility to host and deliver 21st century graduate education for the next 50 years. And it's been fascinating to watch that come out of the ground. We'll finish it next summer. It's probably about the size and area of the football field here at Crestwood. And for the next 50 years, what people will see is all of the work above the ground. When they walk through the front door and are captured by how we use that to tell a story of history and historical mindedness and relate it to the education programs we have. But what I'll see is the 136 concrete piers, 60 inches across, 150 foot deep, that took a third of the time of construction for that project to build and about 15% of the cost. That is a strong foundation that will keep that building and make it ready for what its purpose is in the years ahead. And I think the opportunities here at Crestwood, for me, were foundational in the same regard. The opportunity, again, to grow intellectually, physically, spiritually, emotionally, to build positive relationships with friends, girlfriends, teammates, bosses, teachers, to learn how to be a good follower and to take first steps as a leader. And these are elements of my foundation, again, strengthened here, and they were key to my success at West Point, in the Army, and I hope as a son, husband, and father. So if intellect consists of brain power and knowledge that enables a person to think creatively and critically to solve problems, to effectively interact with others and take action, then my education and extracurricular experiences at Crestwood gave me just what I needed. And I can't overemphasize how well prepared I was when I left here to tackle a truly demanding and diverse educational experience at West Point, heavily grounded in science, technology, engineering, and math, but also complemented by the study of foreign language and humanities. When I think of fitness and resilience, I immediately flash to PE teachers and coaches and training partners. West Point still believes in this idea of every cadet an athlete, and cadets still memorize Douglas MacArthur's famous statement that upon the fields of friendly strife are sown the seeds that on other days, on other fields, will bear the fruits of victory. I think Douglas MacArthur, hopefully known to some of you through your history classes, was talking about strength, endurance, and the resilience to recover quickly from setbacks. And I think my experience at Crestwood in wrestling sowed those seeds for me. As to this foundational element of teamwork, first learning to be a good follower and then practicing leadership, I owe much to the Crestwood High School Band and its directors in my day. I'm grateful for their coaching, teaching, and mentoring, giving me the confidence then to stand in front of a group and perform and to lead peers as the drum major in a positive way. Incredibly valuable and rewarding experience. And for me personally, my positive experiences here as part of a church family in Mountaintop that sowed other seeds that were arguably most important for me and perhaps the ones that took the longest to grow. So this notion of find your calling, it's a complex one. We don't have enough time to really dig into it in depth today. But what is a calling? I think we often hear about it in the framework of life as a pastor or in ministry or perhaps in other fields and professions like medicine. What I think a calling is, it's finding that thing that is so aligned with your beliefs and talents that you can pursue it with every ounce of conviction. And I would argue great satisfaction in return. It's a hard concept to grasp. I recognize that perhaps some go through a whole life without finding that. And I certainly didn't find it or know what that was when I was sitting where you are. It took time to realize that. And I was probably 10 years into my Army career before I realized that I had found mine. But I challenge you to think about that in the years ahead. It's more than a job. Look for opportunity in adversity, because it's there. It's there all the time. And you know, I recognize that each of us at some point in our lives will likely experience perhaps personal tragedy or adversity on a scale that I'm not directly speaking to today, although I think the concept applies, but more talking about professional adversity. I did not take a straight or expected path to where I am today. In fact, I talk about West Point, I'm really proud about it, but when I sat here as a rising junior, I wanted to go to the Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland, and that opportunity did not open for me. But I had a neighbor that knew a place called West Point that I'd never heard of, that asked me how I thought about that. And I shifted my focus. I pursued that goal, and it was realized for me, right? And I can think of other places in time where I didn't get that job that I wanted, or I was asked to leave my family for a year to deploy and take on important responsibilities overseas, or maybe a move with my children in high school that just was anything but convenient. And I think in every one of those, we look back now and recognize that we're the better for it. And so I just want to encourage you that you have to be resilient, and you got to be ready to work around obstacles that are in your path, because they'll be there. It's not a straight, there'll be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. If you make this habit every day of hunting the good stuff, when you go home at night, there'll be something hard from today, but there'll be something good, and to focus your attention there. And then finally, I want to share this idea of being humble, being kind, and being optimistic. I'm asked often to speak to groups of, in particular, young people in college preparing to be officers, and they ask me what I think I believe the most important leader characteristics are, and I talk about those 3 things. Humble to me, I kind of alluded it in the beginning, means first being willing to share hardship with those you lead. It means being effusive with praise for your team when things go well, and it means being quick to accept responsibility when they don't, and recognizing there's always someone ready to step into your shoes. Being kind, does not mean don't set and enforce high standards for yourself or others that you work with or lead, but it means when you fall short of that, to correct with dignity and reorient with dignity and respect for those that are around you. And then this idea of being optimistic, I talked about, I think that's central to this notion of being able to look for opportunity in adversity. It's about resilience. It's about finding what sustains you and nurtures you. I think the best advice I've had in the last 10 years as a general officer was to be a happy general. You have a choice every day when you show up here at Crestwood, or you show up in your job, or you show up at college in the years ahead, about how you approach each day. And all of us, but leaders in particular, you either put positive energy into a system or you're a drag on it. So I just offer those sort of as closing thoughts for you based off my journey, and I'll come back to where I started. I thank all those here in Mountaintop and the Crestwood communities that contribute to my growth. I thank those that are doing the same today for each of you in this particular room, and I'm really excited about the potential resident in each of you in the seats here in this auditorium today, and I thank you.
Good morning. I'm very happy to introduce our honoree, Jorge Humcara. Our families met in 1965 when my family also had come from Cuba. We both had escaped communism, and when we moved to Mountaintop in 1965, the Humcara family was already here. And they were the first family that we had met, and we became family to one another right away. We shared a lot of background, and Jorge Humcara always was impressive in his well-balanced personality, his striking energy, and just a compassionate, kind, very hardworking person. Jorge Humcara, his father, was an integral part of a clandestine movement in Cuba to overthrow the military dictatorship of Cuban President Fulgencio Batista in the 1950s. During this time, Jorge's father supported Castro's led revolution to create a new democratic government. When it became clear that Castro would also govern by communist dictatorship, Mr. Humcara spoke out, which put his own life and the lives of his family in danger. At age 12, Humcara and two of his siblings, ages 13 and 8, were put on a plane bound for Jamaica, not knowing if anyone would be waiting to collect them or if they would ever see their parents again. Humcara was reunited with his parents a year later and eventually came to Mountaintop, where his father, production manager, would oversee Dana Perfumes in the Crestwood Industrial Park. And through his father, I got my first summer job while I was in high school at Dana Perfumes. At Crestwood, Humcara excelled as a student, athlete, and leader, earning a scholarship to King's College, where he studied finance and Spanish. Upon graduation from King's, Humcara was recruited by Popular Incorporated and their banking subsidiaries, with headquarters in Puerto Rico, to enter their executive training program. His ascent to the highest levels of executive management came quickly, fueled by an unparalleled work ethic and a vision for the future of banking, as well as Popular's place in the international banking space. Humcara climbed to a C-suite executive position in the bank before age 30. After a 44-year career at Popular, Humcara retired in 2015. A partial list of Humcara's accomplishments and positions at Popular include Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors, Chief Financial Officer, President of Banco Popular North America, Head of Retail Banking Group, Corporate Treasurer, and there are many, many more accomplishments that are listed in the program. Currently, he's the managing partner at Coley LLC, in the board of directors of Evertech Incorporated, Sacred Heart University in Puerto Rico, and Equalized Community Development Fund. Simply stated, Humcara has been one of the most prominent and successful executives in the financial industry over the last several decades. In addition to his degree from King's, Humcara also holds several elite certifications from Wharton and the School of Business at the University of Michigan. While at Crestwood, Humcara focused heavily on math and physics. He was an all-scholastic baseball and basketball player, president of student council, and was a member of several school-sponsored clubs. He also worked local part-time jobs and volunteer time at St. Jude's. Mr. Humcara resides in Puerto Rico with his wife, Marilu Amadeo. They have a son, Jorge Antonio, and a daughter, Cristina. They also have 3 grandchildren. I'm very proud and honored to be here to introduce Mr. Jorge Humcara.
I was sitting here for a while and I was watching out, and I was seeing an extremely refreshing and inspiring sight. A room full of teenagers, with their lives, full life ahead of them. It's a beautiful sight. God bless you. Give a clap to yourself. Really enjoying it. really enjoying to be here. I am truly honored to be here alongside General Dave Hill, and hasn't been one of the recipients of this award, a Distinguished Alumni Award from the Crestwood School District. I feel that I'm honored, and I feel very privileged because I know that there are many other worthy candidates. So I am really, really honored. And for that, I want to thank Barry Boone and the rest of the Board of Education of the Crestwood School District. Also, Tom Pence, Chairman of the Distinguished Alumni Committee, for having given me this great honor. I also want to thank him because they gave me an opportunity to come back. And this brings very fond memories when my family lived here and my days at Crestwood. Memories that still stick with me because they caused a very deep emotional impact at that time. I also bonded with others that I have remained in relationship throughout all these years. And in essence, my experiences here at Crestwood made me, in part, what I am today. One of those memories, I was not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. One of those great memories was when Crestwood won the District 2 basketball championship. And this was way back. This was back in 1967. And the community wanted to give us a reception to celebrate the victory. And it was held at the gym. You know, at that time, this beautiful room, this auditorium was not built. And any assemblies, we held them at the gym. And I was designated to speak on behalf of the team. And after I thanked everybody, and I told them that we were the ones who really enjoyed it because we enjoyed the season very much and playing with each other and had a very successful season. But it never crossed my mind at that time that 55 years later, I would be back, you know, thanking again the good community of the Crestwood School District. So I want to thank you again for having given me this privilege. I have to confess that I had trouble thinking what to say to you. I'm going to be 74 years old in a couple of weeks. My sons, my daughter and son are over 45 years old. My children and my grandchildren are not even teenagers. And I was a teenager, but I was a 1960 teenager. And you guys are 2022 teenagers. That are, it's a different species. It's a different species. Much smarter, much more informed, much more mature, much more diverse, much more concerned about the world affairs than we were at that time. So it was difficult. So I decided to make some comments on a couple of topics that have been mentioned here, or at least referred to. And I'm talking about knowledge and success. My thoughts and these insights are from my own experience, and that they have helped me along the way. The world is not black or white, it's gray, and making decisions is difficult. So it's, a lot of times, you need some boundaries that can help you guide and triangulate so that you can make some better decisions. So they have helped me, and I hope that you find them interesting. On knowledge and success, I have to tell you that it doesn't come with time, and it doesn't happen by chance. You have to work at it. You have to earn them. And sometimes, it's not easy but it certainly always works. So let's say a few things about knowledge. I'm sure you have already realized that learning can be a lot of fun. And knowledge is very useful. It can help you to solve problems. It can help you to communicate better. It sort of gives you independence. The more you know, the more independent you can be. Up to now, most of what you know has been taught to you by your parents, your teachers, your religious leaders, your friends. As you get older, you learn more on your own. And more, it will be up to you to decide what to learn. But more important, what to do with that knowledge. Be inquisitive. There's a lot of fake news today. So be inquisitive. Question what you hear, what you read. Sometimes step back, question your own thoughts. Even question the ones in authority. Because what they are telling you, in good faith, is what they think is right. But they may be wrong. So be inquisitive as you're learning. Also, as you're learning, beware that knowledge sometimes can be a little bit perverse. Have you heard the expression, a little knowledge can be a dangerous thing? Well, that refers to that you may know enough about something to think that you're right and to reach conclusions. But you may not know enough to know that you're wrong. So you have to be aware. That is why the more you know, the more you want to learn. And although you will continue learning throughout the rest of your life, even though it may sound ironic, you will be disappointed when you realize that you cannot know it all. The world has always been changing, and the rate of change has always been accelerating. And this is not going to change. This is the way things are. And it is almost a certainty when you leave school and begin to work that you will have more than one job. You're not going to be like me. I worked for the same institution for my 44-year career. But I am a dinosaur. You know, people like me do not exist anymore. You will have more than one job. That is a certainty. You will work for more than one employer. That's a normal thing nowadays. And it is increasingly more likely that you will even have more than one career. So just as challenging as it is to learn how to do a job well so you can succeed, it will be how to motivate yourself to be a lifelong learner so you can reinvent yourself. So when the uncertainty comes knocking at your door, you will be ready. But don't worry, you know, you are much better prepared than any previous generation in history to be able to confront this brave new world and to succeed. And with that lead, let's go and say a few things about success. The good thing about success is that it happens all the time. As we speak, many people are being successful all over the world in infinite ways. I have found that the most difficult part of getting anything done, of being successful, accomplishing anything, is getting started. Passing that hump of fear of failure. The fear of failure is what holds us. We could have great ideas and we don't get started. You gotta jump over that fear of failure. And the second most difficult part of getting anything done is the last 10%. last 5–10% of the project emission. The rest sort of falls into place. In order to be successful, help yourself. Do the things you like. Do the things that you have a talent for, that you enjoy. Because there you can excel, and there you increase your chances of being successful. Hey, if you're giving lemon, make lemonade. Don't try to make chocolate out of lemons. Be smart about it. You do not always get to choose to do the things you want when you want to do them. In fact, most of the time you have to do other things first before you do the things you want to do. The important thing is not to give up. You have an idea, you have to pursue it, you can do it, but you cannot give up. Start using words like persevere, like endure. Let those words become part of your vocabulary. Also, very important, you should differentiate the difference between success and satisfaction. Success is what other people think of what you've done, of your accomplishments. Satisfaction is what you feel inside your heart and in your mind, of who you are and what you have done. And there is a big difference. Don't be confused about the two. So let's listen to what Ralph Waldo Emerson had to say about being success. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the respect of children, to leave the world a better place, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to be successful. You see, he doesn't mention anything about money or things, because it is not in the things we have, but rather in the things that we enjoy that constitute our abundance. So don't think for one moment that you will not be successful throughout your life. You will be successful in many ways, many times. Finally, when you graduate, I don't think you have to rush out of here and start trying to change the world. You have plenty of time to do that. I have found out that life is not as short as that cliche goes. I think life is long enough for you to accomplish just about anything. But, you have to tell yourself, like what Alexander Hamilton would have said, at least according to Lin-Manuel Miranda, don't waste your shot. You're going to be getting shots, and don't waste it. Use it, and you're going to be successful. In time, you will realize one of life's best kept secrets. You will be pleasantly surprised that you will never think old. As you age, your body wears down and you begin to get aches and pains. But inside your head, you continue younger. And that will be for the rest of your life. And this fountain of youth inside of you will be the energy for you to always want to continue learning, to continue laughing, dancing, exploring, doing new things, loving and longing to be loved. So, when you get to be 90 years old, please don't try to do stunts on a skateboard. But certainly, keep learning, laughing, exploring, and more important, trying to make our world a better place. Thank you.
Crestwood. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm truly honored to be a part of today's Distinguished Alumni Assembly. And I would like to thank the Board of Directors, the Selection Committee, the various sponsors and honorees that made this amazing event possible. Today we celebrate with an opportunity for all of us to hear about our two exceptional Crestwood graduates. Thank you, Major General David Hill and Mr. Jorge Humcara, for taking the time to share your exceptional stories with everyone and for being a part of today's celebration as you truly serve as a roadmap for all of us here today. Crestwood students, we've heard two amazing stories from our very own Crestwood alumni. They walked the halls you walked. They faced similar student challenges, and as many of you have faced, and came back to share their life experiences with us today. I would like to acknowledge that their hard work, personal endurance has led to the overwhelming success of these two honorees. Our recipients demonstrated their dedication by exploring new possibilities and participating in real-world experiences. I had the pleasure of hearing their stories last night, and I continue to be in awe. We have heard from Major General David Hill, who has dedicated his career and life serving his country and providing us with a safer world where we can enjoy the true meaning of freedom. Thank you for allowing us to see anyone that can achieve their goal in life as long as they have the right education foundation. We have also heard from Jorge Humcara, whose life experience shows us that perseverance is the key to success and that you can achieve your life dreams by conquering the challenges that you encounter throughout your everyday life. His dedication towards reaching his goals and overcoming the many obstacles that he faced, his story is truly inspiring. Each of our recipients has shown that anything is possible, as illustrated by the variety of their achievements, and that were made possible through a strong foundation that was built here at Crestwood School District. We celebrate these two honorees and congratulate them for striving to continue to advance the Crestwood Comet legacy and tradition. They never gave up when they continued to face challenges at different points in their lives. Yes, I'm sure there were times where they did think about giving up, but their drive to reach their goals and gave them the desire and determination to move forward. Students of Crestwood, Crestwood is an amazing school district to be a part of, and I hope today our honorees reminded you that anything is possible and how lucky we are here to have such a support system by the administration and staff to push you all to be your absolute best. Together, we represent the true spirit and pride of our district, Crestwood Excellence. Finally, students of Crestwood, I stand here before you today with a challenge. Everyone look to your left. Everyone look to your right. Look in front of you. Look behind you. One of you may be the next distinguished alumni. I challenge you, each and every one of you, to be the next distinguished Crestwood alumni. Be strong. Don't ever give up, because as you see from today, hard work really does pay off. For the seniors who are graduating this year, and for those of you who may be looking into the future and graduating in future years, please challenge yourself and continue to aim high, and don't forget to soar like a Crestwood Comet. Thank you.
Okay guys, at this time, students, Thank you. At this time, this concludes our program today. Once again, Mrs. Malazzo gave a nice closing there, so at this time we are going to move on to fourth period. If you would like to step forward, to shake these gentlemen's hand or ask them a brief question, feel free to do so. They have no problem interacting with students. That's why they're here today. If not, we are moving on to fourth period at this time. Thank you.